I'm just going to be straightforward with you guys. YouTube went ahead and demonetized the last episode of Side Flick. Apparently, I used one too many trigger words when talking about the Scream 5 movie, and I'm talking about some more horror movies this episode, so if you start seeing me skinny, it's because I'm starving out here. Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on another episode of Side Flick. My name is Chris, and demonetization aside, we are going to continue on because we got so much movie news to talk about. We're going to be discussing details about Spider-Man 3 that is headed into production very soon. Jason Blumhead at Blumhouse talking about Paranormal Activity and how different it might be. A reboot of one of my favorite parody movies. That and so much more, guys, so do your boy a favor. Help me make up for the lost episode and obliterate that like button. Your boy would just appreciate it. But most importantly, comment down below your thoughts on these movie topics we discussed today. Let's start off here with the Spider-Man news. You guys know Spider-Man is my favorite superhero. Of course, I'm looking forward to Spider-Man 3. Unknown what the title will be. We know it'll have the word home in it. If you guys want to drop your guesses down below. Just to knock some off the top of my head, I don't know, Spider-Man Home Invasion, Spider-Man Homefront, Spider-Man Home Sweet Home. Either way, production is gearing up real soon for this movie. So that means we'll start seeing set photos and more details beginning to leak out for this movie. But until then, we had Kevin Feige, the man, the myth, the legend, drop in some details about this movie. This is what he had to say. Far From Home sets up a Peter Parker story that has never been done before on film. Spidey will be in his element, out of the shadows of Tony and the Avengers, and his own man and hero now. The part that most excites me about those comments right there is that Kevin Feige is aiming to do something that we've never seen done before with Spider-Man. Because this would be the 8th solo Spider-Man movie that we've had in the last 20 years. My God, we've been spoiled with Spider-Man content. So the fact that they are aiming to do something different with the character, I think is great. They've done a lot of different things already with the MCU Spider-Man, but this new story is fascinating for a couple of reasons. Not only are we going to have Peter Parker identity completely exposed to the public, and who knows how he's going to handle that, but behind the scenes we have Marvel and Sony kind of battling it out with Spider-Man right now, where we don't know if Spider-Man's going to continue being in the MCU or they're setting us up for him to be taken out of the MCU. Tom Holland recently spoke about some comments that Sony's idea to bring Spider-Man out of the MCU was an interesting idea. And I feel like it's a failsafe that Sony has in their offices, like break in case Kevin Feige decides to obliterate us. Right now, the only thing I want confirmed about this movie that'll increase my hype level is who's gonna be the main villain. Because us Spider-Man fans right now, I think we have a hunch that it'll be Kraven the Hunter. It only makes the most sense, and you gotta bring back Scorpion because you set him up in the first Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man Homecoming. You haven't brought him back since. Either way, I'm looking forward to Spider-Man 3 coming out next year. I need to hear your guys' opinions on Kevin Feige's comments, what you think the title will be, or who you think the villain will be. Next movie I'm gonna talk about is one probably not a lot of people know is coming, but there might be a lot of people excited for this one. If you didn't know, there's a spin-off G.I. Joe movie coming in the works entitled Snake Eyes. Now, if you're a G.I. Joe fan, that name is very familiar to you. And if you're not, and you've only seen the recent G.I. Joe movies on the big screen, Snake Eyes is the one all in black with the samurai swords. Real ninja-like of a character. Well, this movie has now finished shooting and will be coming to theaters in the near future. Henry Golding is the one who's been cast as Snake Eyes. I'm assuming this story is going to work as an origin for the character, letting you know where he came from, his past, before he joins the G.I. Joe clan. We even have a logo for the movie, and the main reason I'm bringing this up, other than the fact that they just wrapped shooting, so this movie's complete and we will be getting it, I want to know your guys' excitement for this. Do people even care about the G.I. Joe franchise? I know there's people out there who love the cartoon, love the action figures, but I feel like the movies that were released on screen just did not do the property justice, because I feel if you gave us a good G.I. Joe movie, this thing could be huge, this thing could be mega popular, and now you're giving us a spin-off for a franchise that hasn't proven its worth at the box office in theaters. I'm just curious to how this will turn out, and if this even does well, then they start doing spin-offs of other lesser-known G.I. Joe characters and giving them their own movies. What do you guys think of this G.I. Joe spin-off, and are you excited to watch Snake Eyes? Jump into a movie that I am excited for and intrigued that it's happening. Baby Driver, the sequel, has been greenlit and is going to be coming to a theater near us. Now, if you haven't seen Baby Driver, I highly recommend this movie. It is a great little action film with Ansel Elgort, directed by Edgar Wright. He's one of those directors who just expertly crafts music, action, and an entertaining story all into one. But now, thanks to Geeks Worldwide, who has the exclusive on this, they claim that Baby Driver 2 has been greenlit. Ansel Elgort is set to return, so is Lily James, his love interest. universe, and Jon Bernthal will be returning for this film as well. If you saw Baby Driver, you know Jon Bernthal is only in it for the first 10-15 minutes before he just leaves off screen and never comes back. If they are bringing him for the sequel and I guess doing a mission with Baby, I think that sounds like a great idea. I'm looking forward to Baby Driver. I just don't know if a lot of people will be running to go see the sequel, but if Edgar Wright is attached and he has a fun story to go along with it, I'm gonna be there. Let me know what you guys think about Baby Driver 2 happening, and are you happy with Jon Bernthal being part of the cast? One thing I might be in the complete minority for, but I got absolutely ecstatic when I read the news. Geek Vibe Nation, who's been pretty credible these last couple of months, is reporting that Scary Movie is in talks to be rebooted. I gotta know your guys' favorite Scary Movie out of 1 through 5 down below. But Scary Movie to me is one of my favorite film parodies of all time, at least the first 3. The first 3 to me are classic, golden, always will make me laugh. 4 and 5, they exist. If you don't know too much about Scary Movie, do yourself a favor. It might seem dated, but I think you could still get some enjoyment out of them. Their whole purpose was just to make fun of the popular horror movies that came out when those films were released. Now they're reporting that Lantern Entertainment is in talks to reboot the Scary Movie franchise and give us another wacky parody movie making fun of our modern scary movies. Now, like I said, I'm probably in the minority of excitement from this just because I saw those movies at a young age and they made me laugh so freaking hard. But they're also not looked at as the most quality piece of cinema. Even I'll admit they're guilty pleasures. I can understand why some people hate them and think they're trash. They also led to a number of spin-off movies for different genres where you have disaster movie, epic movie, all movies that were just horrible. But the first 3 Scary Movies to me, I think are actually good. At least good enough to make me laugh. From what we could expect if they decided to reboot this in the modern age, the article goes ahead and points out that Lantern Entertainment have been holding early talks to get a new Scary Movie into development. Presumably the idea is to base it on more recent horrors like the Conjuring franchise and It. Definitely not a done deal yet and depends on a lot of factors. Of course, if they went ahead and rebooted Scary Movie today, it would be about the most popular movies, and the most popular movies are the It franchise, which became the #1 rated R horror movie, and then you have the Conjuring franchise that just created their own cinematic universe and are some of the most popular movies to see out in theaters. This sounds like a great idea to me if you do it right. And what I mean by that is stick to making fun of the actual movies and don't throw in pop culture references. When I mentioned those other movies like epic movie, date movie, or disaster movie, the major problem those films had is that they stopped making fun of movies and they started including pop culture references where they would have a lookalike Kim Kardashian or a Paris Hilton show up, or they would make fun of the latest gossip in TMZ. So they stopped being about the movies and more about pop culture references, and it heavily dates those movies when you go back and watch them. I think some of the genius of the first 3 Scary Movies is that it mainly relied on making fun of the actual movies, what doesn't make all that much sense, and just really having a laugh at the films, and us, the audience members, just enjoying the silliness of it. But even like the article says, it's not a done deal yet, and when you're creating a parody movie, you still have to deal with the legal trouble of like, yeah, we're gonna make fun of Pennywise, and it's a parody, so legally we can do it, and then you have the people who own Pennywise that are gonna try to fight them to be like, you can't touch our character, even if you say it's a parody. Let me know what you guys think about the Scary Movie franchise possibly being rebooted. But now talking on an actual horror movie, Paranormal Activity, the franchise, is set to get a reboot. We got this report that Paranormal Activity would be rebooted a couple of months back. It will be done by Blumhouse. They're set to write a new script and I guess just relaunch this franchise. It makes a lot of sense because the Paranormal Activity movies are made for pennies and they make so much money at the box office. It's ridiculous how much of a profit they make on these, but you gotta admit, as the series continued, less and less people were starting to show off. You were damaging your brand, so they stopped them for a while, and now it looks like they want to start them back up. I bring this up today because Jason Blum, the guy who is the head of Blumhouse and makes all of our scary movies, just recently was responsible for producing The Invisible Man, which was a great horror movie. Go check that thing out. He was doing an interview and the interviewer asked him about the future of Paranormal Activity, knowing that there's a reboot in the works, and if this film will still use found footage because it seems like a dated method to tell a horror movie. And this is what Jason Blum had to say. I guess we're about to find out, but I don't know. I don't know. It's something that we're talking about, but I don't know what it's going to wound up being. We're writing the treatment right now, That's it. And those comments to me were fascinating because I think if you're making a reboot or a new movie of Paranormal Activity, step one, you know it's found footage. But now hearing him say that he doesn't know if they're gonna go with the found footage route kind of has me, I guess, a little worried for the reboot. Some of us can say that found footage is dumb, that it doesn't work, that it's an old method, but I think if you use it effectively like the first 3 Paranormal Activity movies did, it can be a really satisfying way to watch a horror movie. I think if you take the found footage element out of Paranormal Activity, then it would just be a regular haunting ghost story, and we have an endless amount of those. I don't think we would get the same vibes that this was a Paranormal Activity movie if it wasn't in found footage. Especially now in our modern age where I think making a found footage horror movie is more easier than ever because you have cameras everywhere on our phones, on our laptops, in our homes through security cameras. You don't need to create some weird excuse of like, oh yeah, I bought this $30,000 camera and I'm just gonna shoot everything for no reason. No, we can believe you that if something weird happens, you'd pull out your phone and you'd start recording. But I guess maybe we should think of this as a good thing, because if they're bringing back the Paranormal Activity franchise and they want to do something new with it, they're willing to take those risks to give us a good product. But I really want to hear from you guys. What do you think about the new Paranormal Activity reboot possibly not going with found footage anymore? But that is just all the movie news we have for today, guys. I really want to hear your opinion on everything going on, and if you have made it this far in the video, you better have hit that like button, okay? It just makes me feel good to see them likes. But as always, my name is Chris. Take care.